Hey, some good vibes today at the NovaCare complex. Jordan Davis breaking out the air guitar before practice. The man can block kicks, run touchdowns out, and apparently vibing with his Angus Young riffs. Yeah, little AC/DC there in action right now. Welcome to this players only edition of Birds Huddle. Along with Jason Avant, I'm Barrett Brooks. Jason, the weather forecast for Sunday will be 88 to 90 degrees. Come on, man. And then 60% humidity. Now, how do you plan for something like that, man? How do you go in thinking, all right, that's hot. That's real hot.
Well, the offensive linemen are always going to complain about this.
Yes.
You can tell with Barrett's tone, but nothing a little pickle juice won't fix, a little bit of electrolytes, some Pedialyte, that'll do the trick. Now, during the week, it's all about hydrating because you can't hydrate before the game unless you use IVs. So, but the big fellas usually complain about this.
I'm complaining. I'm complaining for the big guys. Yeah, But hey, time for our 3-point stance presented by Toyota. We welcome in another player, a guy we know very well, Brian Baldinger. Thanks for joining us, Baldy. How's it going, man?
Yeah, Barrett, Jason, what about the pickle juice? Can't we just get a little pickle juice down there in Florida? That worked way back in the time back in Dallas. I remember that.
Oh, man. But, they're going down on Friday, man. I think that's going to help them out a little bit, because you lose a little bit of water when you dehydration when you fly down. But then, they have a day to get accustomed to it. So I think that'll help a little bit.
You got to get acclimatized a little bit. But Florida heat, I'm down in Florida now, Barrett. Florida heat's just different. It's a different animal now. It jumps on you. And if it gets a grip of you, sometimes there's not much you can do.
Stop all that complaining, big guys. Let's go.
I don't want no.
Football is football. Hot, cold, medium, doesn't matter.
Hey, I don't want no parts of it, But, hey, let's go on, But it's going to take a team effort to replace Nolan Smith, who's out for the next couple of weeks.
No question about it, Barrett. I saw Nolan down the field before the game. I saw him this summer at the Sack Summit with Von Miller. He's a bright young player. That's a big loss because I thought he was the best guy off the edge that they had.
Yeah.
But you got to rally. Jalen Hunt, who played okay last week, obviously, he's going to get an opportunity now to be the guy. But I think it always starts inside with Jalen Carter.
Absolutely.
He's had 5 quarterback hits in the last 2 weeks. The way Jordan is playing inside, if you get pushed to pocket, a lot of guys can come off the edge. Whether it's Jalen right now, Zadarius Smith. They got a lot of guys on the roster that have sack quarterbacks, whether it's Josh Uche or Azeez Ojulari or Agbo Okoronkwo. There's a lot of guys on the roster that have come off the edge. But I expect Vic Fangio to dial up some blitzes. Jahad Campbell was an excellent, off-the-edge blitzer coming out of Alabama. I know he's got some skills to do it. So I think they're going to cobble that position together and try to make up for the loss of Nolan Smith.
You think they got a lot, Jason, to do it? You think they have enough?
I think they have enough. This is why you get veteran players in. That's why you go out and you get a guy like Zadarius Smith or Azeez and these other guys, Josh Uche. You get these guys for moments like this because you are depending on young guys. But if your young guys are not available, you expect the older guys to come in and show some pass rush. But we have to do a better job of rushing the pass.
Absolutely.
Period. 3 sacks in 3 games, that's unheard of for Philadelphia Eagles defense. So I'm looking forward to seeing which guy will step up this particular week.
Yeah, and I'm thinking this, man. When you look at it, that's a lot of the reason why Vic Fangio has had to go out there and blitz as much as he has. So, he's countering that with blitzing, but we've got to find somebody, to take the slack up.
Well, look, I watched Arizona last week. Josh Sweat had 2 sacks in the first 2 possessions. I saw Milton Williams do it. We knew that there was going to be an issue replacing those 2 players. And so whether they got to pressure more, that's okay. Sometimes you got to find a different way to do it. But I feel like Jalen Carter, going up against a really banged-up offensive line, Barrett, I feel like he's a guy that's really going to show up this week.
I hope so.
I'm looking forward to those guys to show up. And stance number 2, the Buccaneers look like legit Super Bowl contenders. Baldy, what are they doing so effectively to go off to start out 3-0?
You know what, Jason? They're finishing. All 3 weeks now, 3 victories have all come in the last 2 minutes of the game. Atlanta Falcons opening week of the season. Baker has been just almost perfect in the 2-minute drill, 3 weeks in a row to go win games. They were losing off a block kick field goal by Will McDonald last week against the Jets, 27-26. He calmly took them right down the field. And, they lost Mike Evans during the game, but this Emeka Egbuka, I'm sure you've been watching him, Jason.
Oh.
This is this is a great young player and a guy the Eagles have to pay a lot of attention to. He's been in the receiving end a lot of these balls and catches on these last 2 minutes of the game, including week 1 where he won the game against the Atlanta Falcons. So they got to pay special attention to number 2 out there. He's a really good player.
Absolutely. You know, and I look at their offense, man. They're game planning him and getting him open. But I think their run game has got to be key for him, especially with all these guys bouncing around for him on that offensive line. I think Bucky has to be that guy for him that he can go out and really establish that run if they're going to try to compete against this Eagles team. So I'm looking forward to seeing, you know, how this Eagles team goes out and really focuses on stopping him, you know, because Baker Mayfield's done a great job out there.
Yeah, when it comes to their entire team, I think the Todd Bowles blitz package is one of those things that, you know, for our offense, for the Eagles offense, is going to be a serious challenge. He brings pressure from everywhere, and because they get home so frequently, their D-backs are very aggressive, and that's why Jamel Dean had a pick 6 right before halftime this past game.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward, man. This is going to be a great game, you know, but because I love that both with quarterbacks. You know, both of these quarterbacks, they know how to win. Baker Mayfield has led game-winning drives in all 3 games this season. And we know Jalen Hurts can do at the end of the game, you know, when the game's on the line, he always steps up. What you think, Baldy?
Well, I mean, I feel like almost like, I know this sounds cliche, Barrett, but whoever has the ball last, you know, might have a chance to win this one. Because both quarterbacks want the ball in their hands, you know, when the pressure's on. Last week, you know, obviously Jalen throwing to Devontae Smith on 4th down right there for the game winner. You know, Baker's no different. They both have a very similar background in that, you know, they kind of work their way up through the college ranks. And, you know, they've gotten their opportunities. They're not going to relinquish that. I'm looking at, you know, some of the guys in front of Baker Mayfield over there. You know, they've been playing with a cobbled offensive line now for 3 weeks. I mean, Tristan Wirfs has been out. Their starting center's playing left tackle. Their starting right guard is out. They've got a guy off the practice squad. Like, that's how you know Baker's playing great, in that he's playing behind guys nobody's ever heard of. And it doesn't deter him at all from making the plays. And you got to account, just like with Jalen Hurts, Barrett, you have to account for for Baker as a runner. Yep. He's an excellent scrambler. He gets a lot of yards and gets a lot of first downs by scrambling and extending plays. They're both very, very similar in that they're hard to get to the ground. They know how to keep plays alive, and they're always looking for that big play when that pass rush gets on top of them.
Well, I mean, you're absolutely right, man. He has been a magician back there. But, hey, at this point, both of them have. You know, Jalen Hurts has been that guy. You saw what happened in the game. He got a little help from the defense and special teams, but both of them have, you know, been playing very well this year. So we appreciate you, Baldy, man. Thanks for coming on this players-only edition of you know, Birds Huddle. I appreciate that, bro.
All right, Barrett. Jason, I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon, buddy.
Enjoy it this weekend. It's going to be fun.
Thank you, buddy.